All right, let us kick things off today with one of the greatest of all time. He is certainly the greatest UFC bantamweight and WC bantamweight champion of all time, and he returns to action in just a few days, March 6th to be exact, UFC 259, very important fight against Kenney, making some kind of history, first time since 2014 that Dominick Cruz is not fighting in a title fight, and first time since 2014 that he is fighting on the prelims of a big-time UFC card. How about that? The one and only Dominick Cruz, kind enough to join me. Dom, how are you?
Great. How are you, Ariel?
I'm doing great. Great to talk to you. I haven't talked to you since May of last year, so it has been quite a while. And of course, that was after the Cejudo fight. Obviously, we see you from time to time in terms of your UFC broadcasting work, but you've kind of laid low in the buildup to this fight as far as media is concerned. Any particular reason for that?
I mean, there's just not a lot to I do so much media, Ariel. I film on Lock and Victory. I'm on color commentary pretty when I can. In camp, it hasn't been as much. I've done one show. And so I feel like people get to hear me all the time. Like they're probably tired of hearing me. So I'm like, yeah, I'll just leave them alone.
I disagree with that, but I think a lot of people are curious to hear your thoughts about this particular fight, because I'll be honest, when I got the information that you're fighting Kenney on a prelim of a UFC pay-per-view, I was surprised. You know, you haven't been fighting the Kenneys of the world throughout, you know, your UFC run. And that's no knock on him. I just mean champion, former champion. He's a rising star. What was your reaction when you agreed to this fight and when it was offered to you?
Well, I got offered like two people. You know, Shelby will give you like two people or something like, and you know, I just fought Cejudo, and after I fought Cejudo, those weren't the best circumstances. I had broken my left ulna, I had blown out my right shoulder, and I had been making a push. Like, you know, if I'm going to come back and make a run, I might as well go straight to the top right off the bat, because everybody in the division is championship status. If I'm being honest, and the top 15 at any given time, you know, top 10 especially, but top 15, those guys are right there, right in the cusp of being, they all have the potential to become champion within the next 3 years or so, I would say. From my perspective of watching the division, it's such a free-for-all in the division that I'm like, I might as well just go straight for the top. And so because of that, I just didn't have a lot of time to prepare for that fight. I took that fight on short notice. I think I had about 5 weeks of work. After a 3-year layoff, I only sparred a handful of times. And, you know, one of my preparations, you hear a lot of guys say, I don't spar. I spar a lot. I like to spar a lot to get my timing, to get my, to get my rhythm, to get my, just to get the feel. I work a lot off of feel more than natural, I guess, ability, I guess you would put it. So without having that for the Cejudo fight, I kind of went on. I kind of went in on short notice because they closed all the borders down. I mean, it was the first fight that happened since the pandemic, and you know, every sport was shut off. So I had no training partners for that. It was like one of the most dry camps I've ever had, because you know, you just can't get anybody in. It's just, I got the people I need now. I've gotten to put in, since that fight, I've gotten to train consistently for about 6 months. I spoke to my coach, Eric Del Fiero, and he's like, you know, let's just keep you moving after that fight. Just keep training, stay in the gym. I've stayed in the gym, and now I've pieced together 6 months of constant, consistent training. Whereas, you know, before that fight, I literally sparred maybe 10 times after a 3-year layoff. So it was not ideal for me. And this one's good.
Okay. And when you were offered Casey, what was your reaction?
What are you going to do? Like I said, after that layoff, realistically, when I fought Mizugaki,
mm-hmm.
I was on a 3-year layoff because of knee surgeries for that one. So, Sean Shelby says, let's get you in there against, you know, a top 5, top 15 guy and get the ball rolling, get you fighting somebody instead of going straight to, you know, the top of the division. Since you've been out so long and you're not really ranked that high, let's get you in there against somebody who's not ranked that high, not the highest rank. At that time, it was Mizugaki. He was on a 5-fight winning streak at that time and had been pretty much beating people up pretty well. And I was like, okay, let's do it. With this fight, Casey Kenney's, I think, on a 2-fight winning streak. And I watched him take 2 fights back to back, one in Abu Dhabi. Or I think they were both in Abu Dhabi, if I remember right. And he's from my hometown, Tucson, Arizona. Mm-hmm. And I was like, you know what? Like, we got Tucson on the map. We got 2 guys from Tucson of all places in the world. I mean, that's insane to me. And let's just make it happen. You know, I don't look at it as up or down, because you got to remember, I'm only getting paid a certain amount. So you get contractually with the UFC, you get a set pay per fight. It's not like if I fight a world beater, I'm going to get more money. I just get a set amount of money no matter what. And Casey Kenney's on a good win streak, and he's confident right now, and he's well-rounded. He's a southpaw. If you look at the rest of the division, Petr Yan switches stance. He's a southpaw. Sometimes he beat Aldo as a southpaw after losing 1 round conventional. Got his leg chopped off, switched to southpaw, and went on to finish Aldo that way as a southpaw. You got more southpaws coming into the division. And like I said, I look at it from a very, from 1,000 yards away. I don't look at it as necessarily right here, right now. I look at how can I prepare myself for the rest of the division. And Casey Kenney is no easy test to me. I mean, some people are going to say what they're going to say, but they're not fighters. They don't know what this game is. And him being a southpaw that wrestles and he's well-rounded and mixes it up, I think he's a good guy for me to face right now, to also get used to other southpaws in the division that can wrestle and that can mix it up.
By the way, to give him full credit, he's actually on a 3-fight winning streak. So he's looked really good as of late. You're right about the Abu Dhabi fights. I think some eyebrows were raised when you were on the feature prelim spot. I actually think that that's a great spot. More likely than not, more people will see your fight when you're fighting on ESPN on the prelims as opposed to the pay-per-view. How did you take that? Did you even care at all? It seemed like people were offended on your behalf, at least on Twitter, offended on your behalf. How dare they put him on the prelim spot?
I mean, that's nice. That's nice of people. It is. I'll explain to these people right now the politics behind that position. That's actually, like you said, Ariel, probably the most seen position on the entire fight card. I'll have the most eyes on me. Like I said, I've had a pretty decent layoff, so let's get me in front of a lot of eyes is what I'm thinking. Excuse me. At the same time, being in the prelims, that's an ego thing. I'm really like, I'm not real attached to my ego at this point. I know what I am. I know the things that I've accomplished. It doesn't affect me to be seen more, and I'll be seen more. Like, more people will tune into that than they will the main card. I'm right before the main card, so everybody's watching that one because it's the end of the prelims too. And it's kind of like the leadoff hitter of a baseball team. I look at it. Everybody's, that's usually the fight that people want to see almost every single time they put these cards together. I'm excited to be on that position. And to not be on the main card, like I said, I don't get paid more if I'm on the main card. I get paid, none of us fighters get paid any different, whether we're on the main card or the prelims. So if people want to stand up for anything, stand up for that. Stand up for, if the guys are on the main card, pay them the most amount of money, I guess, if that's something to stand for. But really, I get paid the same regardless if I'm on the bottom of the prelims, the top of the main event. I'm on a set contract. So really what matters is getting in front of the most eyes. And I believe that position gets more eyes than any other position on the entire fight card. It's logical.
The last time I spoke to you was the Monday after the Cejudo fight. Obviously you were upset about how it ended. You had some things to say about referee Keith Peterson. You were disappointed. I'm curious how long it took you to get over that whole fight, because obviously it seemed to me like that one really bugged you. How long did it take for you to actually move past it? Or maybe you're not past it until this fight happens.
Well, what's hard about it is that he retired after that to not have to face anybody, and then he's still chirping, So it's just like, it's not championship stuff that when you do that, it's, to me, it's, you're keeping yourself safe and trying to find yourself until you get the right position to come back. It's like, I can remember, the only reason I say that is I can remember holding the belt through multiple injuries and how much stress I went through to hold that belt with the injuries and have everybody like, yo, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go. I want to fight you. No, I want to fight you. No, I want to fight you. No, I want that target on your back. That's what breaks champions, is the target on your back over a long period of time. That's why you have to commend a guy like Usman, who's been holding it the way he has, because he not only cleaned out the division. I've done that before. I have cleaned out the division, whether new fans now know that or not. I've been that guy. And to me, that's the sign of a real champion. Isn't if you can win the belt, it's how long can you hold it? How long can you stay at the top with that target on your back and keep it flowing and keep defending and defending and defending. And whether you're hurt or not, when you have that belt, the stress is still there. When you retire, you're taking a break. You're like, getting a fresh breath of air, and it's the stress is gone. So you can just relax. You can do what you need to do. When you hold on to that belt, you're keeping your foot on the pedal. And when you come back, you're facing the best guy in the world. If you're out for 2 years with injury and you come back and face the best guy in the world, what a tall order that is. What a tough thing to do that is. People can say, whatever, you only fought so many times but I mean, I'm facing the best guy on earth over that period of time each time I fight. It's not easy. So I think what's tough is that nothing's on the line after that. And I believe Keith Peterson gave him a nice gift with that, because I was, I got hurt and I shouldn't have put myself in that position. But if you talk to the refs and if you talk to anybody, you have a couple things you need to do in order to keep the fight going. You need to be defending yourself and you need to be working into a better position. I was doing both of those things when the fight got stopped. You can't be knocked out while you're standing up on your feet while somebody's hanging on you. Like I was okay. And so it was hard for me to get stopped when it was a premature stoppage. 100%. I don't believe I lost that fight. I believe Keith Peterson took that fight. Now I say that in the midst of somebody who always takes responsibilities for his losses. I lost to Cody Garbrandt. That I think I won, probably 2 out of 5 of those rounds against Cody, but he won 3 out of 5. So I would say he won that fight. And I take responsibility for losing that fight. This fight was different. That's what was tough about it. It was the referee stepped in and I specifically asked the ref, make sure you let me go in there and fight till the bitter end. And he couldn't, when he wouldn't make eye contact with me. And I told him that specifically in the back. And I had to ask him 2 times to restate the rules to me because he wasn't all there in the back. All that led into me acting the way that I did after that fight and saying the things that I said. And I'm going to definitely request, and I can only hope and pray that the commission honors my request to not have him in my corner or refereeing my fight. I can't guarantee it. The commission does whatever they want, and I respect them and their decisions. But I don't believe he's a competent ref with the way that he treated my fight and the way that he treated it before the fight happened, the way that I saw him go through the rules in the back. I've never had a referee that I've had to say, hold on, stop. Can you start all over again? I can't understand anything you're saying. And you're not looking me in the eyes. Are you here? Are you present? And I don't know if he was nervous or what he had going on, but I've never dealt with that. I've had more than 20 fights, 25 fights close to. Never, ever had a situation with a referee where I had to pull him into the conversation and make him present. And so, it is what it is. But I'm here now and I'm moving forward. And this is the next fight that's docked up. And I have let go of it because it's in the past. When you stick to the past and you're in the future, there's no peace because everything's out of your control in those places. So being here right now, present, facing Casey Kenney, who's on a 3-fight win streak, looking good as of late, and me feeling good and me having the time to prepare for this fight that I need I'm very confident. I feel good to move into it.
By the way, do you think Cejudo ultimately comes back?
I don't think so, until like he has this thing where he believes he's worth like millions and millions of dollars. And I think that the Dana doesn't care. So probably not, because he wants a certain amount of money before he'll come back and fight. And I don't know if he'll ever get that. And I don't know if any, you look at the rest of the division, Petr Yan and Aljamain Sterling, two top contenders that are fighting for the belt coming up. I mean, those guys aren't asking for that kind of money, and they're going to bring a crazy fight to the table. So why would you bring back a Cejudo who's playing it safe on the sidelines for what? Like, he doesn't bring any extra views. If you're a Conor McGregor or if you're a Ronda Rousey, yes, you figure it out, right? But if you're Henry Cejudo, I mean, he doesn't bring some sort of awe factor to these fights to where everybody can't wait to tune in to watch him. It's kind of like they just kind of laughing at him. He's cringy. He's cringe Cejudo, So hopefully, I can get a win streak together and just make my thing happen. I'm not really worried about what he's doing. He retired and he's chilling. He's got his feet up and he's living his best life. So let him. Happy for him.
On that same card is Yan versus Sterling. So I think the timing is really good for you. You're in the discussion when the title is being defended. That's always great. Just curious, because you're such a good mind when it comes to this stuff. Who do you like in that fight? Do you mind sharing?
Yeah, I don't mind. I mean, I think Sterling's doing breakdowns at my fights, so it's it is a good fight. And what's the date of that fight again?
Same date as yours, March 6th. Oh, okay.
So with that, it's a good fight. I see Sterling as a specialist, and Yan fought one other adversary 2 times that was very similar to Aljamain Sterling, and I can't pronounce it. Magomedov, I think, is the guy, is the gentleman's name.
The one guy who beat him.
Yeah, and they're 1-1.
Yeah, and
I really think that fight is the best fight that Yan could have had. Like I'm kind of saying about Casey Kenney, like I need to get through Casey Kenney to prepare and beat him to be ready for the rest of the division. I believe Magomedov. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're getting it right.
Magomedov was the perfect matchup to prepare Petr Yan for Aljamain Sterling. The guy is a sick grappler. He's pure grappler. Like he's looking to grapple you, and there's no secret about it. He's looking to take you down and submit you, or just hang on you, just like Khabib does. Same style, that fence style where they ride you, they get behind your arms, they grab you, they drag you. Same exact style. And while he did beat Yan once, Yan made the adjustments and was able to beat him. I think so. As a result, I think Yan can get it done with Sterling. I think that he's going to bring. I mean, Sterling's wrestling, I think, is highly underrated. I think he's got way better wrestling and way better grappling than he's even shown. I mean, you saw him do what he did to Sandhagen, but it was so fast you couldn't even really see how good he is at grappling. I think he's very, very good grappler with Matt Serra and all them, and they focus very heavily on tactics and positions in those areas, and I think he has the edge there. But the fight starts standing, and Aljamain Sterling is a kick heavy fighter, and a kick heavy fighter generally needs space, and Yan moves in and out, and the stance switch really creates a different variety too.
Okay, so ultimately, who wins?
I think Yan gets it done again.
Okay. Just curious, speaking of Sandhagen, he had a big win over Frankie Edgar. That's a fight that we've always been sort of dreaming. You versus Frankie Edgar. He was knocked out. Pretty scary stuff on that same card. We saw Alistair Overeem get knocked out pretty brutally as well. And like we always reach a point. There's different sort of earmarks in time in our sport, in the fight game as well, where you start to see, like some of the older guys, the legends, the former champions start to lose and start to have tough conversations. I'm wondering for you, as you watch that, as someone who is entering maybe the final chapter of his career, how do you internalize that when you see fellow legends. You know, you sat on that stage in Toronto. I believe Frankie was there as well. Like when you start to see your peers lose like that and these conversations are happening, do you start to look at yourself and try to put yourself in their shoes? You know, it's easy for the media to talk about it. I'm just wondering how a fellow legend looks at moments like that, and how it, you know, how it affects you when you're preparing for, you know, the final run of your career.
Well, I mean, you got to imagine I'm in my getting ready for my next fight, and I'm commentating that. I mean, how many fighters are commentating while they're preparing for a fight? So I'm talking about these guys and their skill sets before the fight. I'm watching them make the walk a month away from my own fight. It was an intense night for me. I would say that was one of the weirdest nights of calling fights that I've ever had, because I know my fight's coming. It was very intimate for me. I learned a lot from it, because this is not a game we're playing where people, you know, the way you hear people talk on the internet and stuff. What I love about this, it made me remember and realize why I do this. I do this for the truth of it. What I love about this is there is pure truth, and there's no, I'm offended. There's no cancel him because he knocked me out and need me in my head. Like the stuff that we're dealing with today on the internet about people getting canceled and people getting my feelings are hurt, and like, just, it's sad. And in this fight game, none of that gets to exist. You just face what you face and you deal with it and you move on to the next day. And it reminded me of like, yes, this is why I do it. This is why I love this sport. There's a transformational value you get from being in that position in front of everybody, in that vulnerable position where you could get knocked out in the first seconds of the fight, or you could drag it out to a 3-round war, or it can just be a knockout right away in the second round. I mean, there's so many different outcomes that watching that happen to Frankie Edgar was a surreal moment, because, you know, not only does he have a crazy good chin, but he's, like you said, he's a former champion. He did great against Munoz, and Munoz is not an easy fight, and he showed up and was able to do that. So it was crazy to see that. But, you know, you can kind of see that coming when you watch a Sandhagen in his style. He's got good movement, and he's so long and lanky. And Sterling said it too. I had to watch for that. I had to be careful for that knee, because when you got a guy who's that lanky, just like Volkov, their knees come up like an uppercut. It's not like a regular knee. It's their knees come higher than your head, without having to try. So that knee is like you got an extra 2 weapons attached to your hands. You got 4 uppercuts. And when you're a shorter stature fighter that looks to shoot, you have to fake. You have to do a lot of in and out movements. Otherwise that gets timed. And Frankie Edgar was heading him off by beating it, by circling, but he wasn't moving in and out. And if you don't move in and out, then you can't, then Sandhagen can time the duck. But if you're going in and out like this, it's hard to time a duck, because this is happening already too. You know what I'm saying? And Edgar's moving side to side, but the reason he's moving side to side and not forward and back is because Sandhagen's moving side to side to set up the knee. So he legitimately pulled him into the knee by circling, and then pulled him into the attack. So it's easy to see that from the outside, but when you're in there, you're looking to get that takedown. If you're Frankie Edgar, you're looking to get the pressure on him and start hanging on the faster, quicker, nimble fighter of Sandhagen. So it was awesome to watch, but also heartbreaking to watch. And it took my words out of my mouth when I watched it, because when you're watching it live, they cut out and you go to commercial back home and you're eating popcorn and drinking a drink. And you're just like, oh, that was crazy. I can't wait till they get back to what's going on. When you're there, you're seeing the state of Frankie Edgar in the octagon, and it's life and death. It's not, this is life and death what we're playing. This is not a game. No matter what anybody wants to say or think on the outside, this is life and death. That could have killed him that night, legitimately. And thankfully, there's no deaths in the sport, because the referees and the way that the doctors and the way that we we play this game. Everybody's very safe. But I was worried for Frankie Edgar in that moment. That was a huge, heavy shot he ate. And then the way that he hit the canvas was intense.
Two last quick things, if I can. When you won the bantamweight championship in WC, even when you came over to UFC, Casey Kenney hadn't even debuted yet. You've been doing this since 2005. You're entering your 16th pro year. How much longer do you want to do this for? Are you still enjoying it as much as you did back then?
I do enjoy it. I don't have an answer for how much longer I want to do this. I just take it one fight at a time right now. I've like, you hear so much. My body feels good. I feel good. I'm going through the practices. I'm getting through the camps. A 3-round camp was much easier to get through than a 5-round camp. I'll tell you that right now. Like, much easier. It's not even comparable, because those extra 10 minutes of fighting in camp, I mean, it ends up being 2 fights. It ends up being 15 minutes because you got to do 6 rounds to prepare for 5. You got to do 4 rounds to prepare for 3. So, and that's in camp. That's in just practicing. So, I don't have an answer for how much longer I'm going to do this, but I feel really good. My body, I'm going into this fight healthy with no like dings, no injuries. So that's a first. I mean, I got a little baby cut over my eye, but it's healed. And I just want to go out there and do my job, and find and see the truth. What a blessing to be able to see the truth where nobody can cancel anybody because their feelings are hurt. Man, what a great thing. That's why we do this.
And lastly, Casey did an interview with MMA Junkie recently, and he talked about how you were calling one of his early fights. I don't know if it was his debut, but certainly early in his UFC career. And you were critical of his wrestling, but he did eventually get taken out. Like he said, he gives you props. You called it like you saw it, but he has used that criticism as motivation. Him up against the cage, his wrestling. You were calling the fight and you were saying that he needed to do X, Y, and Z differently. And he's used that as a little motivation going into his fight. Do you even remember that? A, and B, do you think he has gotten better at that aspect of the game since his early run in the UFC?
If I'm doing my job, I'm telling the truth. Like I just said, that's the thing about this sport. You tell the truth. If I offended him, that's not my intention. My intention is to tell the truth. This is a fight.
Right.
Like I've said the whole time, and this is the game we play, and this is what I love. Instead of being offended and him going, cancel Dominick Cruz, he took it.
That would be a lot.
What did he do? He took it like water off a duck's back. It rolled off. He made adjustments. This guy is on a 3-fight winning streak. He's made the adjustments in the grappling. He looks great on the fence. He looks great grappling. He looks great with his stand-up, mixing it up. He switches stance. Yes, I think Casey Kenney has made vastly huge improvements in his game. Huge. And I believe that as a commentator, that's partially our job, is to keep it real. One of the things from DC that I hear a lot is Dom's kind of serious and, I'm just playing with him and stuff. But it's like, this isn't a game. When you see DC on fight week, he's not this jokey talking about being fat and that it's an advantage. He's not that funny guy. He's dead serious like I am. And I like to pay the same respect to these fighters on fight week and on fight night as if I was fighting myself, because their head could get kicked off their shoulders. What happened to Frankie Edgar could happen to everybody. And it's not a joke to me. It's not a game to me. I study fights. I pay very close attention to each style because these fighters' lives are on the line. And I believe that. And when you see DC fight, he knows his fight's on the line. When you see him before a John Jones fight, when you see him before these main events with Stipe Miocic, he's not this funny guy that you're seeing on your show. This is retired DC you're seeing. So it's like, this is not a game that we're playing. So yes, I tell the truth. Yes, I keep it real. Yes, I keep it serious because it's a serious game we're playing. And I believe that I'm here for the fighters. I'm not here to hear myself talk. I'm not here to get, just to toot my own horn. I'm here to show how great these fighters are. I'm here to stand for the fighters, that they're the best athletes, some of the best, toughest, most vigilant athletes on earth. Also very smart, a lot of us. Some of us not so much, but you know what I mean? And I'm here to stand for that. And so it's an honor to be able to get to fight again. It's an honor to get to call fights. I take it very serious for that reason, because it's life and death to me.
Looking forward to your return, Dom. And by the more of this analysis, do check out Unlocking Victory. As Dominick said, both he and Gilbert Melendez do a great job. One of these days, we'll get you guys back in an actual cage together. But for now, you guys are doing it in separate locations, and good to see some of your training partners, his wife involved as well. And of course, March 6th, UFC 259 against Kenney. Looking forward to that fight as well. Thank you very much. Good luck in the next few days, and good luck on March 6th, Dom.
Thanks, Ariel.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.